Okay, so I'm not allowed to touch the screen or else some naughty person is going to call the police on me. We know who you are. Anyway, but I don't have time to do a broadcast today. I've got to help somebody in the church that needs some help. So I'm going to go ahead and talk to you a little bit about what I want to talk to you about in the future. And I want you just to think about some things over the weekend, because I think Monday I'll talk about this after some time, after I have a little more time to kind of deal with it. There's a few things I want to bring up and think about, but I just want to kind of get you to think about some things before Monday. Seeing as how the Lord always knows what's best, and this is the way the Lord wanted it to be done today. So we'll just go with that, and we'll just trust the Lord that Monday's broadcast will be really good, and we'll be able to talk about a lot of things. Now, so here's the thing. I want you to think about the two things of the end time sins that we talked about before: fornication and sorcery. And most people have a very limited understanding of fornication and sorcery. They look at fornication as the act of something outside of wedlock, and it must be, it must be adultery, or it must be that act. But it's not really what the Bible is. That word covers more than that. It covers more than what we understand. So there's such a broad definition when it comes to dealing with fornication and sorcery. And the Bible says that they repented not of those things. Those are going to be two end time sins. I think those are connected strongly to the mark of the beast. I really believe that those two things are connected. And it's the desire of those two things that will make men take the mark of the beast. So I want you to think about what's went on here, even closer to Minnesota here, even in Illinois, January 1st. In Illinois, they passed recreational marijuana, went into effect. Now, we're going to talk about marijuana. And I may just do one broadcast specifically on marijuana and really deal with that subject. I think it's too acceptable among God's people today. It's too acceptable among Christians today, and in America and all over the world, it's becoming more and more acceptable as an everyday thing. And you have Christians that are defending the smoking, the eating, the vaping of marijuana. And I believe it has to do with the end time sins that would not be repented of, that they would not turn from. I believe it has to do with those. I absolutely do believe that. So I want you to think about that and think about how that all ties in to this rush and this surge of marijuana use, of drug use, of the pornification of America and the pornification of the world. And that word porneia, fornication, it's the same word. It comes from the same root word. And that pharmakia, which is sorcery. Those two words are tied together We talked about that before, but I want to show you the practical examples of these things coming together. I was watching a little bit of a broadcast yesterday by Pastor Hoggard, and it drove home some things to me, and it made me think, you know what, I want to talk about this again, because they're ramping this up more and more. This is becoming more and more relevant. And those two end time sins are becoming more and more prominent, filling the hearts of men. And there's a lot of things that go into that. A lot of things that go into that. And I'm telling you, the attacks on God's people, the lust and the wickedness and the nudity and the debauchery that's out there, the defiling nature of things that are everywhere a man goes, he sees that those defiling things. So all those things have an impact. All those things, they're effective in attacking the people of God. And now you're seeing acceptance among professing Christians for a lot of these things. I mean, there are churches that are accepting homosexuality. What is that? Fornication. These churches, why? It's another spirit. There's churches that are accepting adultery. People are fornication. People living in adultery. People living in fornication. It's wholesale accepted now. So you mix that in with all the drugs. You mix that in with all the drugs. And then what you have is exactly what the Bible talked about. So I want to talk about the rise of drugs, the rise of AI, the rise of pornography, the rise of fornication. Because that one thing deserves its own broadcast. It really does. It really does. So we're going to look at doing that. And I want you to think about that over the weekend a little bit. I don't think I'll have time tomorrow to do anything. I've got sermon. I mean, I could come on. Don't be surprised if I don't. I might. But I highly doubt it. I don't think I'm going to have a lot of time. I've got some things to do in the afternoon. So I don't anticipate coming on tomorrow at all. So it'll probably be Monday that I do a broadcast and, try to cover this thing. I want to cover marijuana and how it's witchcraft, how it's sorcery. So notice me putting my car in park and I'm pulled over on the side of the road. I'm not driving my vehicle, and now I'm looking at the camera. So, because there are devils out there, and the devils want to bring you down, and the devils want you to stop broadcasting. Okay, so I'm on the side of the road, I'm pulled over, the car's in park, because the devils are always watching. So, anyway, but I want you to think about those things over the weekend. Sorry, that just makes me laugh. I'm just thinking about that. All right, anyway. So we'll talk about marijuana. We're going to talk about that. Yeah, we're going to talk about alcohol too, because I'm going to do a broadcast that deals with alcohol. I'm going to do a broadcast about that too. So we're going to talk about marijuana, then we're going to talk about alcohol. And then I'll have more about Peter Ruckman's doctrines too as well coming up. More charismania, all that fun stuff. Anyway, so I just thought I'd come on here to let you know that I've got some things to do and I won't be able to broadcast anything today. But we'll get back to it Monday. If not tomorrow, I might come on and do something short tomorrow. It depends on if I get fired up while I'm studying and I think about something. Sometimes I do that when I start thinking about something, I'm studying something, I get fired up. So that happens sometimes, and I just want to talk about something. So if that happens, you'll see me on. If not, then I'm busy and nose to the grindstone. Oh, pray for my back too. I have to go to the Cairo today. And pray for my back, that the Lord would, that everything would set right and my back would be back to normal. No pun intended. Anyway, have a good day, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.